Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, that singeth unto me, songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast live tonight on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. Hello, hello. Also, we are on YouTube, so if you are over there, make sure you hit the like button. It's a thumb up. So hi. And then, no matter how you are hearing me, make sure you stop in and say hello, either with a quick message or send me an email at wildepaisley@gmail.com. And that's wildepaisley@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, please do so. You can do that at etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio, or you can go to Patreon at www.patreon.com/the spaces between. And yes, the call line is open because I can operate this thing called a call board. I have that power and authority. I don't always turn the microphone on for everybody though. But Mr. Don is in the house.
Who?
Mr. Don, you have something right here.
Yeah, it's called my beard.
It's in the beard. Oh. It's this white creamy stuff in your beard.
Hey, whoa! Don't start off that way. I'm eating. Oh my goodness.
Would you like Kleenex?
Yes, please. Oh my God.
That escalated quickly. It was awesome.
Oh, that was just not right. Yeah, you've already killed Lucky tonight.
Yep. Hi, Lucky. So, yes, the call board is open, and that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. And oh my gosh, yeah, there was some side chat outside of Portal, so yeah, it had to escalate there. So and TFR and the whole 9 yards. So we are checking out the chats. We've got Lucky, hey Lucky, LJ, hi, Daryl, and Fancy. And also, holy cow, the chat room is blowing up.
Yeah.
Aussie, Blacktree, hi Julia, Elaine, Ethan, Gemini, Pam, Jessica, Lewis, Suzanne, Titan, and then, yep, Dawn's in the chat room. Is Dawn ready to be on air now?
Oh, I'm just on mic. No, give me a minute.
Okay, so yeah, Dawn's not ready yet. He has to finish putting his makeup on.
Oh my God.
And pasting that beard into place because, he's got fillers.
Pasties.
So I hope you all are having a lovely Friday. And Yes. Titan asked the question: if you could spend a day with an elder god, who would it be and why? Ooh, that's like a $10 million question there, Mister. And I would have to say just one. I can only pick one. Yes, there's Mr. Don. I would probably say Hecate, just because I do follow her, have been associated with Hecate for just years and years and years and years, since I was a teenager, honestly. She's been around. And if for some reason she was unavailable, yeah, Kununos, without a doubt.
What about Aponia?
No. She's not an elder.
Oh.
Um,
There. Now I have my mic on.
oh, hey, look, it's Dawn. So, yeah, I don't know. In a way, Kununos would actually be my preference, honestly, even though I follow Hecate. I feel Kununos has called me, and I would like to know why.
Okay.
And the reason why, those of you who've heard the story about Groot, that's part of the reason why I feel he's called me. And there's a few other things that I'm just not going to talk about here in mixed company. No, I'm kidding. There's just some things. For those of you who practice, who are pagans or witches or either one, often there's parts of your spiritual path that you don't necessarily share with many people, and that's normal because there's a lot of power in some of that information that you might share. So, hi Vlash, and so yeah, just not something I really necessarily want to share, and not because I don't think it's important or that you guys would find it unimportant, but mostly sometimes you have to protect parts of yourself. Hecate is Hecate, Lewis. It looks like here. There. Hey, Naysay. And so yeah, it just yeah, I don't know. Yes, I'd like to meet both of them. It's really hard to pick one. So, Don, would you like to meet one of them? An elder god.
An elder god?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
or elder deity.
If anybody follows anything I say, and I don't know why they would, some people already know that I've had that Odin dream.
Mm-hmm.
And, talking with the master of knowledge and wisdom would be really freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty straightforward there.
All right. Yeah, very, very straightforward. Did I miss any other questions in there?
Oh, there's been a couple.
Okay, well, you're
I'll see what I can do.
plucky sidekick.
Yeah, whatever.
So, by the way, everyone, yeah, Epona would be awesome to meet, but I don't know. I don't want to just meet one. I want to meet them all. Yeah, Nacy, hi. So Nacy's going to call in tomorrow, and we're going to talk about, setting the stage and kind of the thought process, if you will, behind a ritual, kind of a community worldwide ritual for the full moon on Tuesday. So yeah, Nacy will be calling in. That'll be in the second half tomorrow night. So tune in for Nacy tomorrow night. So yeah.
Lucky wants to see your pendant. Is that the opal?
So this, well, I've got a couple things going on here.
Yeah.
So this one, here, I'll hold it in front of my arm. So for those of you on YouTube, you can see this. It's an opal, and it's not. It's on. So here, I can't just take it off. It's a wire wrapped opal. It's a Brazilian opal. And it's pretty awesome. And then I have a raven skull that I wear pretty much often. And that's kind of my symbology for Hecate. And then the other one I wear is an opal that I got in from a friend. So yes, this Brazilian opal here, ironically, is from someone I never would have expected to give me a gift like this, and it's just a really awesome, lovely wire wrapped.
That thing's huge too.
It is huge. Yeah, it's can't think. Here, this is a AA battery. So here, if
There
you
you
want to
go.
see
Yeah.
some sort of comparison, here I'll hold it in front of my chest so you can see a dark background. But yeah, AA battery. So it's a really big stone and a lot of energy to it, and yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. So, did you want to talk about your? Have you talked about your Odin dream on my show?
I don't know.
I don't think you have.
I don't
Because I've
know.
only heard it once, and I was listening into TFR when you were talking to Brent or talking to somebody
Yeah,
about
it was on. It was on the show. I
or
mentioned it.
yeah, or Paranormal Portal.
I
or
know I
something like
mentioned it to Chris too, Chris Geo. Well, yeah. I had a dream. It was kind of profound in a lot of ways, and the dream is kind of. I'm going to keep some of it personal, but I'll give you the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there was some people I knew, a lot of people I didn't, in this hall. It was a typical Viking hall, and Odin was going around and talking to just certain people at first, and then he came to me, and he said it was that this was my last go around, and that I would be coming home, and he gave me a name, and that's part of what I don't want to divulge, because it would sound kind of I think it would sound kind of I don't know,
Yeah.
self-serving.
Okay,
I
well,
guess.
don't share it.
So, but so and then there's a couple other things we talked about. I talked about, well, what about my family and this, that, and the other, being a typical human, And he's like, you don't got to worry about any of that. You're done. You'll see him eventually, but you're done. You're coming home. This is your last trip around. And I woke up crying. It was it was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very cool. It's amazing how much power there is in dreams, how much energy, and how much we can get accomplished in our dreams, and how easy it is to just stay in them sometimes. So
it was relieving, because in a sense, if this is my last karmic go around, if you want to say something like that, or or my last, the last life I have to live through, being human, that seems to be kind of a relief, because this life has been rough, and there's been a lot of good stuff, there's been a lot of bad stuff, and I am where I am because I am, the sum of my parts, and I don't have a problem with it. I am who I am. You either like me or you don't. I'm okay either way. But it was both relieving and kind of disappointing in some ways. But the simply him just saying, don't worry about it, it's all good, was awesome.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool thing. And Julia says that's why you met her, because she's a deathling. Deathling?
oh, met her.
Yeah, met her. So yeah. Hey Brent, I saw that you joined. I didn't want you to think I wasn't high.
So anyhow.
So anyways, that's very cool. I've had my own Odin-esque type dream, or Kaninos type dream. For me, they're parallel almost the same type of personality. So, or similar.
Drinking, whoring, and fighting.
It's something like that. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't going to get better tonight, is it?
Probably not. It's already on that downhill slide.
So yeah. And Naysay says thanks. So yeah, there's, and Pam, you're right, because she goes, since you remember the dream, so clearly it was a real visit. And there are a couple of dreams that I've had also that are the ones that are true dreams or true dreams. Yeah, they stick with you.
I'm still trying to wonder. You told us one time about a dream you had about you were in a hall and there were people all around and half of them are naked and so, never mind.
Oh, they're different beings and they just clothing was different for them or what they're dressed as and their appearance was different. So yeah, it's, I don't know, it was just really, really interesting. And yes, Titan, I would have to say, it's not the absence of trouble and pain, it's being well enough to go through it and to teach others, or you to use it to teach others. Yes. So yes. And no worries, you're busy getting your mead horn that you just don't use. Yes. Naysay says, if he can suggest, you may still have a choice at the end. There are many fractures in the shattered crystal of time, so there are potential. He feels that there's other possibilities.
Well, that's true. Maybe not necessarily coming back as someone who needs to learn, but someone who possibly comes back with the wisdom retained and able to, be that light in someone else's life, or whatever that may be.
You're going to come back as a beautiful butterfly?
Oh, boy. I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Okay, Heimlich. Not Heimdall, it's Heimlich.
Yes. Yeah, that guy's got too many responsibilities.
But yeah, it's, yeah, a wise guy Don, yeah. So, but this just goes to as an excellent illustration as to why it's important to journal your dreams or to have a dream journal, because, some aspects of the dream are probably still just 100% clear to you. Has any of it faded at all?
No. Sorry, that was to me. No, I every time I think of it, it's pretty vivid. It's there. The emotion's still there. And this was about a year ago, I guess. So no, it's still kind of fresh in there, and I might need to probably write it down at some point. But so being, I think, was it Pam that said, because I remember it so clearly that it was, it was a real visit, and that's, certainly, in my mind as well. And so anyhow, but
yeah,
that's it.
Okay. Very cool. So yeah, and remember, when you're part of the reason for the dream journal is some of the iconography that you might come across in your dream is going to be very, very much particular to you yourself. So there are things that may be more important to you that may not be important to someone else. Oh, you found my rock.
Yeah, the one she threatens to throw at me. Now I have control of it.
I have the pointy one. Also, is this an 18?
I don't know what it is.
It's a socket. Have you ever noticed
That's
an
actually
18 millimeter socket is always gone?
That's my 15. No, it's always the 10 and the 15.
Oh, is it 10 and 15?
Yeah, my 10's gone somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know.
But no, if a white cat might have more meaning to you, for instance, than a black cat, or depending on your path or your tradition, you know, different colors of feathers may have more meaning to you, or murals on the walls, or the people you might encounter in your dreams. So it does vary just a little bit, because some things are just going to be more important to you than they will to someone else. So
Titan says, interesting. Guess a lot of people want to forget, so they have to relive until they accept and move on. And that's very true. You know, Lucky says 10 millimeters, my doodler. Come here.
right.
Almost had it. But you know, I mean, that's part of the reason. That's part of a belief system that says we keep coming back as humans to continue to learn, and sometimes it's because we didn't learn it the first time, and you got to do it again. But there's also some people. There's also a group of people that say, before you come to this life, you sign a contract, essentially. And you say, I'm going to go and I'm going to learn this. So basically, you're signing up for college classes. Hopefully, they're a little beyond 101s. But, you know, and you're saying, yes, I will go through this particular life with these expectations and these, you know, to learn these lessons. You get to choose which lessons you want. I must have been an idiot on this one. You know, there's quite a few good things in this. Don't get me wrong, but you know, there are a few things that I would have never, you know, wanted to, you know, experience. But so yeah, I think that's correct. You know, if you didn't learn it the first time, you're probably going to learn it the next time.
Yeah, and sometimes our dreams are very really are give you a major premonition. So Vlash in TFR said that they dreamed about 9/11 several times before it actually happened, like 30 times, and always ended with jumping from the rooftop of a skyscraper and landing on the street, which would be hugely painful. And then after waking up, even felt pain for like 5 minutes afterwards.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
can believe that. Yeah.
you know that's you know, it's often amazing to me, some of the after effects that I might have from a dream, especially one that's a little bit more of a foretelling, because you know, you wake up with still that sense, or that memory of pain, or that memory of that sensation. So Robert Jordan, in the Wheel of Time series, very fiction, very fantasy, and they probably put production on hold because of the coronavirus, but that's okay. In there, he talks about the world of dreams, and how there's some fiction. You know, so some of the dreams are just 100%. They're just dreams. There's no big deal. But the world of dreams was a place where real things happened, or real events could happen. You could have real encounters with real people in those dreams. And if something happened to you, like you got hurt, then your body would have that same damage on your when you woke up. And you know, I got to tell you, I think there's some truth to that. You know, in a lot of fantasy and a lot of sci-fantasy, even, I think there's a lot of truth. It's covered up by a whole bunch of fiction. And some of it is bad storytelling, but
like the book I'm reading now.
I have a hard time reading those. But yeah, you know, I think this is one of those small kernels of potential truth in there. I think there may be two different layers of dreams. There's the one where it's just your mind going slightly crazy and you having fun, and then there's the next layer, the one that most people don't achieve. You have to have certain abilities, or you know, certain situations where you might be triggered or pulled into that secondary realm. So, yeah. Yeah, just checking.
Pam said, I had a visit from my brother from the other side, along with my dad, who had also passed about 15 years ago, still as vivid now as it was then.
Oh, I believe it.
You know, and that's like, you know, we've talked to many people, and even Brent has talked about some dreams that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, were just so
Real.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
present. It was
yeah.
there, you know. And Lewis said something about suffered some back pain, and so, you know. And somebody also said, I think Lewis also said something about he felt like that maybe he returned to his body too fast, like that cord got whipped and you got flashed back into your body. I've woke up like that. You're like, and it's just like, ow, ow.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with my strange Lovian issue. So,
Yeah.
But those were odd too.
Well, I've had some where I wake up and the occurrences or the things happening in the dream have left me with just I'm soaked in adrenaline, and there's no use trying to go back to sleep at that point. It's just I'm done. I'm awake. It's horrible. And sometimes I have to go check on my family, make sure the dog's asleep, the cat's okay, my fish, whose name is Tim, by the way.
Tim the Enchanter.
He's
What is your favorite color?
blue.
Sorry, I think that's
You're
just funny.
such a goober.
Oh, I
No,
think that's funny.
Minnie me decided to name my fish Tim. Of all the names that she will randomly pull out of
You didn't expect a real name?
no, not at all. And so yes, it's Tim the fish. So yeah, sometimes I have to go through and I have to check on my family and make sure everybody's okay, because that dream is just so flippin' real. And that adrenaline just won't leave me until I've gone through, touched all the doorknobs and everything, and you know.
Did the monk through the house?
Yep, I got to monk through the house. Sometimes you gotta. But hey, guess what? We're gonna monk to a break.
Really? Already?
Yep.
Wow.
So it's break time. We'll see you guys in just a few. On the flip side.
O Lord within the sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done. tears of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And I know we've just been kind of talking about dreams here for the first part of the show, but I actually had a plan. Did you know that?
A plan?
Yeah, I had a plan.
No way.
Sometimes I do.
Wow.
It happens. Not often, but it does happen. No, with next week is the full pink moon on Tuesday. It's a supermoon. Do you know what a supermoon is, Mr. Don?
It's when the moon's close and big and giant.
Yeah, it's at apogee, I think it is, something like that. Anyways, yeah, but do you know why it's called a pink moon?
No.
You're like, no. So actually, it's got a couple different names, but the pink moon is called the pink moon because it's the color of the North American phlox subulata, or the creeping phlox, or moss phlox.
Which means what?
It's a flower.
Oh.
It's pink.
So what has that got to do with the moon?
It generally flowers this time of year in climates where it doesn't snow.
3 inches overnight for no reason.
The first weekend in April. Yeah, it was awesome. The roads were actually not too bad today. I was kind of surprised. I expected them to be icky, but they weren't. But yeah, so yes, the pink moon. And it has another name. So, hold on. I lost my sheet. Where was I? Blah. It is... All right. Yes. Farmer's Almanac is what it calls the phlox moss pink. Oh, it's also called the Paschal moon. Paschal. Do you know why?
No.
It's a random information. It is because it is the full moon that indicates when Easter will happen. So even though Easter is a Christian holiday, it is set according to the lunar calendar. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Did you? Okay, so yeah. So when the Paschal moon hits, or this particular moon, it helps the Catholic Church decide when Easter will be. So
Do they check it out through Lucifer?
I'm not sure who they check it with. Maybe it's Julian.
Well, Lucifer is the name of their their astrological lab, their telescope. I think it's in Arizona.
The Catholic Church has a telescope named Lucifer.
Yes.
That makes less sense than me having a beta fish named Tim.
Look it up.
I'm just saying. So, it's also called the sprouting grass moon, or the fish moon. And the sprouting grass moon makes sense because, it's supposed to be sprouting grass. Yes, it's also, Sonia, you were right. It's also called the hare moon.
Why?
Hare, hare.
Yes, as in bunny rabbit.
Yes. This isn't bunny rabbit because it's when bunny rabbits are out being bunny rabbits, doing what bunny rabbits do. Like on the Animal Planet.
I was thinking of that movie,
Zootopia? Okay.
See, one thing us rabbits could do is multiply.
Yes.
That was great.
Yep. So, all right, I'm a farm kid. I'm originally from the country. I'm a hick, and it's all good. So, maybe I will get a Dory. But, so when I was a kid, my dad used to have to do farm chores a lot. And if we were bored, we would go hang out with Dad to do farm chores overnight because he worked for a dairy farm and kept track of the cows overnight. And not dairy, just a livestock farm. And, this time of year is when calves happen to happen or be born. And so we'd be driving down the road, checking the different fields for the cows to see if any of them were getting ready to, go into labor, that kind of thing. And during the spring or this time of the year is when rabbits start to kind of lose their mind. So everybody's heard the phrase "crazier than a March hare." I'm right? Yes. Have you heard that phrase, Don?
Crazier than a March hare? Yes.
Okay.
Oh, March.
Because March just happened. So, crazier than a March hare. Now, during this time of year, during the spring, these rabbits will run across the road. They will stop. They'll go back across the road. And you'll come to a stop because you're watching this rabbit just be totally insane. And it'll zigzag back and forth the road across a couple times. And then it'll jump like 3 or 4 feet in the air and come down and do it again. And then go back up into the air and fall down and just all the way down the road, and then some other rabbit will come along, tackle it, and it'll go off into the... It's like, is your mating dance vertical jumps 3 feet in the air with insane zigzags down the road until the female rabbit says, "Dude, you've had too many, it's time to go home."
That's it, you're cut off, mister.
Too many carrots. So, I just don't know, but yeah, it was just crazy. And it was just, the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. So yeah, as far as March goes, I don't know about other people, but March came into being this year like a fuzzy, cuddly, slightly roaring lion. And March seems to have left us to go into April, kind of like the six-headed sphinx of doom, breathing fire. And we've had here in Idaho, we've got the coronavirus, we've got the snow happening in April, we've got the coronavirus lockdown, we've got the TP starters, which, what the heck is that? I still don't get it.
I read an interesting thing
and
about
we
that.
had an earthquake.
That's right, we did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
I just can't.
Would the six-headed beast of hell been better if it had been able to wash its hands?
Yes.
Oh.
And wear a mask.
Oh.
Glove up, man. I get.
I'm up.
It just, yeah. Yeah, bunny rabbits, yeah.
So anyhow.
Yeah, eat the crazy March hare. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. The lion ate the March hare. Daryl wants to know if there is any place on Earth where there is not a lockdown. I hear there is not a lockdown in Antarctica or currently on the space station.
Space station's not on the Earth unless you believe that other thing, but that's okay if you do.
Well, okay, so within the humanity's reach, how about that?
Okay.
Even Russia's on lockdown, except for they called it a nationwide vacation.
Oh, a national holiday.
National holiday, yeah. And then, I guess North Korea says it's not happening there. They don't have a problem. So maybe but they're kind of locked down anyways.
Don't make me say anything about North Korea.
God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So yeah, Pink Moon.
Pink Moon, yes.
So the rabbit was a sacred animal associated with Roman legends, and often the rabbit is also associated with fertility in springtime. I mean, breed like a rabbit. Yep, there's rabbits everywhere. And
are they going to be quarantines too?
You mean on a spit? Are they going to be tined and spitted?
Children of the corn.
Yes, I saw that meme and I laughed. So.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Also,
I couldn't help myself.
I just can't even. I'm so like. I had a thought process and it's totally gone now. So yeah,
Pink moon.
pink moon. So it's basically in here in the northern hemisphere, it's a time of growth, and things are just kind of getting better and growing, like this. I know Canada is
Oh no.
no um
That's maybe northern candida.
I am going to look away. Sometimes our people are just kind of hilarious.
All right. So anyhow, get back to topic. Super pink moon.
I closed it. So yeah, super pink moon. So it's actually going to be the biggest pink, super moon of the year, and with the full moon, it's generally just symbolic of abundance or harvest. Like if you're down in the southern hemisphere, we're talking harvest right now. We're moving into that season.
So I was thinking southern U.S. for some reason. Southern hemisphere, yes.
A little farther south there, Mr.
Yep.
Don. Yeah. Wish fulfillment. So if you so okay, during the new moon is a really good time to set your intention for the full moon.
Burning bay leaves with intent on
Lay
it.
exactly, or you can write on a little piece of paper, burn it. We did it on air one time. And and the full moon is generally when that stuff starts to come to fruition, or you may be receiving some sort of, or the manifestation of it. Achieving dreams. If you've been trying to achieve something in the last days, couple weeks, the full moon is when it's starting to happen generally. And the full moon is also protection. So now sometimes I don't feel very protected in the full moon. Sometimes I feel more protected in the new moon, but then I follow Hecate, so that kind of makes sense. So, the frustrating thing about U.S. internet is when you search a thing, Titan, it only gives you the information for where you are at.
Oh, you have to go deep.
Yeah, so if I look at the full moon calendar, blah, 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 full moon calendar 2020, Australia. Can't spell Australia.
Australia.
Yep. Yes, Basil's the dog.
Basil.
Basil.
Basil faulty.
He's a goofy dog.
So the question was, the moon means harvest. Well, in the southern hemisphere, you said that's it's.
Well,
it's
the full harvest are things coming to fruition. So you're harvesting or reaping the benefits of something that you've planted. So it's a little bit metaphorical, or a lot more metaphorical, I suppose you could say, because we reap what we sow in all aspects of our life. Whatever it is we're doing, whether it's our craft, our spiritual work, our our families, our workplace. Maybe you're trying to get a promotion. I was trying to get a vacation and it came through.
Lucky you.
Well, it is a good vacation. I think Mr. Basil may need to go outside.
OUT. I must take. Is Elaine in, because this is my bone hoe.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he needs out. He's actually a pretty good dog most of the time. He tells you when he wants to go out, and if you don't pay attention, he'll pee on the floor. And Don calls him Red Dog Yellowfoot. because he'll pee on his foot. Um, now that I'm totally sidetracked. So, one, yeah, I feel, I feel pretty lucky I earned it. It's like 3 weeks, but I have to homeschool mini-me, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So, anyways, when it comes to naming the moons, regardless of which moon it is, whether it's the pink moon or the fish moon or whatever, often those are associated with the whatever's going on at that time. So down in the southern hemisphere, it probably won't be called a pink moon because it's associated with something else there. Because they're not worried about the pink phloxes just blooming; it's more going dormant. And Native Americans, Celtics, Druids, everybody kind of followed the same tradition because it made it easy for everybody to kind of, especially with the verbal histories and everything, to remember these things. And so when you're doing your research or trying to learn things or becoming more familiar with stuff, you're going to see different names for different things, even though they are similar. There's different names. They're still going to be similar. So, yes. Sorry, just reading chat.
Stop reading chat. Do your show.
I'm trying to do both. So there. So the Farmer's Almanac, which is something that would like the pink phlox and stuff. Do you know you're eating again? Do I need to turn the camera off?
No.
Okay.
Keep going.
So it was founded in 1792. So it was. That's when they started talking about the different moons, and they gave them the different names. And a lot of the different names were used originally in Scotland, Ireland, England, and France, and then their territories, of course. Now, the Deboryan clan is a combination of Celtic and Cherokee cultures. And so this particular clan has their own names, of course. And some of them were adopted in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And then Wicca itself, adopted a lot of those things also, especially after the teachings of Gerald Gardner and Wicca and everything. So, just depending on where you're at, the different names are going to really be developing and showing up. So, not just, the pink phlox, but other flowers are turning pink this time of year, like lilacs, for instance. We've got lilacs here. But generally speaking, in April or the springtime is a good time to work on potential relationships or to head off problems in an existing relationship.
That's interesting you say that because I mentioned just a couple days ago
Mm-hmm.
that April, specifically, first off, Brent started the portal in April 23rd, 16. I joined him a year later on April 1st, 17. On April 19th, 19, we started the podcast. And so this April still has a few days to go, so we'll see what happens there.
Right. And then
it's an exciting time for us, too.
March, April, that time of this time of year, that's when I started my show about a year ago. So.
Yeah, that's right. You started in April as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Late March, early April, something like that. I thought it was March, but maybe it was April. But yeah, spring is a time for new ventures, new things. Just like you plant seeds in a garden to grow flowers and to raise things, spring is a really good time to start new ventures because the potential for growth and maturity is there. And maturity is in growth, not maturity is you're going to grow up, because some people don't ever grow up, do they, Don?
Did you just like verbally point at me? Some people just don't grow up, do they, Dawn?
I have met some of your family.
Whatever.
Some of your family just doesn't want to grow up. Actually, who wants to grow up? Grown-ups have bills, and we have to...
I don't like that guy.
What, Bill? Yeah, I know, right? Do I add anything to my moon water Titan? So...
I hope not. I was wondering why I was hallucinating.
So fortunately, the moon water bottles that Dawn has drunk from, I'm assuming there's been more than one at this point,
No,
have not had anything else in them.
just one.
So, but, you know, it is a really good time to put things, you know, moon water. If you're looking to combine elements or charge things, I will put a lot of my crystals and rocks and stuff out to charge in the full moon. Sometimes, like, I've got, I did a prosperity spell jar, and I let it sit out for a full moon cycle before I considered it was done. Considered it to be done and ready to, you know, the
So
seal on it.
you're saying that I drank flat moon water?
Yeah, you had flat moon water. It wasn't sparkling. So, well, thanks, Ethan. Now, if you do put things in your moon water other than water, make sure you mark the bottle. That way,
Please.
random people don't just walk up and decide to taste them.
Walk by Swiggins.
Right. You know, another way to get charged water would be like storm water, rainwater. I suppose I could have gathered some snow, and I thought about it to make moon water. But I didn't because it's snow. I'm tired of snow. I mean, honestly, maybe the first snowfall of the season rather than the last, because this is going to be the last snowfall. Actually, no, we're under a winter weather advisory for tonight too. So
What's the date today?
today's the 3rd.
Your first show was April 5th
Yeah.
of 2019.
So yeah.
Pivotal month.
Yeah, pivotal month. A lot happens in April. So yeah, things start. Glinda the Good Witch. I don't know. She's got a big hat.
All the better to cover that big head with.
COVID cooties moonwater. Yeah. Yeah. COVID cooties moonwater. So it's just a little. Just on that note, real quick. When Nase calls in tomorrow night, it's partly to talk about the COVID and, you know, trying to turn some energy to the positive on that, because the coronavirus seems to be this time seems to be bringing out two sides of people. Either they're really awesome, or man, they've turned into just royal jerks, and I don't understand it. I really don't. And so yeah, even if the energy that we do on for the full moon on Tuesday as a group, if nothing else, you know, try to work on positivity for one another and caring for one another, because in a way that's going to get us through, I think, almost more than finding a cure or anything else. It's just, you know, looking out for one another. Touch base, call your friends, call your family. Don't necessarily go visit anymore, but touch base by phone or email, Facebook. There's maybe not Zoom, because Zoom's in a bad way, but
that was hilarious. I think it was Lucky that posted that Zoom parody thing.
Yeah, Zoom's not the place to send out your nudie pics right now. So, yeah, just, you know, touch base with your family, yeah, and make sure they know that you love them and you care about them. So, and it's hard. Maybe you want to record the message and send them out so you don't have to actually talk to them.
There's an idea. Good idea.
Just saying, some of them, yeah, I don't know. It's easier that way. And yeah, I'm fine with the Easter Bunny being quarantined as long as the chocolate's left at my house.
And as long as he's quarantined away from the missus.
And actually, I'm sure Easter Bunny's really good in a red wine reduction sauce. Just saying.
Oh,
Um,
oh man.
I like to cook, guys. Just saying. A kitchen witch. I have to cook in the kitchen, so.
Oh goodness.
But
Have you ever seen a skinned rabbit?
it looks like a skinned cat. What's your point?
That's where COVID came from.
No, it's not where COVID came
Oh, sorry,
from.
it was a bat, not a cat.
No, it was not a bat.
Actually, the zoology says it was a bat that infected a penguin.
Penguin?
Not a penguin.
I know, a penguin. Penguin. Is it penguin?
Penguin.
Oh, however you pronounce that word.
And somehow that from an endangered. Oh, Basil, get out of that chair. Oh, gracious. Somehow an endangered species passed it to humans.
In other words, they don't know. So.
Wow, it's break time.
It is break time. Ooh, top of the hour. We'll be right back. What'd you do to the dog?
I didn't do anything to it.
Will so be the spell forever done.
volume. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and I will remember to turn on the volume. We are off adventuring into the spaces between. And just so you know, the call line is open. So it's 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond, UK, it's 44203-393-2871. And if you are on hold for any length of time, it's because I didn't pay attention, and I'm sorry. And you should tell me that you're on hold. So, as somebody asked, the pagan meaning for full moons and all that. So I got to thinking, I should probably say something about that, since this is kind of a pagan show and not just random on and on and on. Even though it's kind of fun. So, really, just, you don't have to be a pagan to, focus or celebrate the full moon. You really don't. And if you are a pagan or a witch, you don't have to celebrate the full moon either, by the way. The world isn't going to come to an end. Your crystal ball will not break. And none of that. It's okay. So just be aware. Not everybody celebrates all holidays, regardless of what their tradition is. So if you miss a full moon, it's okay.
It's not like missing confession.
Even that would be okay. You just say it all the next time.
Boy, oh boy, I imagine a lot of
It
upset
probably
people.
is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my phone's going dead again.
I don't know what to tell you.
Anyhow.
So, symbolic meaning of the full moon when it comes to being a pagan. Because, the full moon's been kind of a well-mentioned, well-figured symbol throughout the millennia. Many, many cultures have talked about it or have notice of it. The Chinese, for example, associate the full moon with the essence of yin, or the female energy. Buddhists see the full moon as just symbolizing spiritual power, because the Buddha, supposedly gained his enlightenment on the night of a full moon. And then there's, scads of sacred festivals held during the full moon. I think partly that's because, in my opinion, it's at night. For a lot of those sacred festivals, the full moon is nice and bright, and it's easy to have fun out underneath the light of the full moon because you can see what's going on. Now, in the folklore does associate lunacy or madness with the full moon, insomnia, and psychological disturbances. Now, I don't know if anybody else has, but when we were talking about dreams earlier, I have had some pretty epic dreams by the light of the full moon. I don't remember most of them because they're just slightly insane. So,
Interesting.
So yeah, and in astrology, the full moon is the peak of energy that highlights opposing polarities and forces in your life. So, time of harvest or reaping what you've sown. I mentioned that earlier. So, yep. So, and then as a pagan, the full moon is where your psychic energy tends to be just at its greatest arc of energy. Sorry, my brain just shut down. That happens. So it's not full moon for me. Yeah. So a full moon, is often the amplification of the subconscious and power. And so Vlash says he seed trees on full moon. I don't understand. Yes, seed trees, yes. And personally, if I can get to sleep, sometimes I sleep better on a full moon. But often I don't get to sleep on a full moon night.
Why is that?
I don't know. If I'm going to have insomnia, it's going to be on a full moon.
Huh.
Either the day before or day after.
I'm going to assume Vlash means, said what he said, or said what they said, but meaning plant.
Yes, probably.
Full moon. You mentioned sleeping. Aussie over in YouTube land said he sleeps better on full moons.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it may be banishing dreams. Shedding light on things that would normally keep you awake. Because, yes, there's that too. So, when it comes to paganism, often people talk about, oh, the calendar, the Esbats, the Sabbats, et cetera, and you should worship them, and then you do this, and blah, blah, blah. And should you bother with a full moon ritual if you are a pagan? So, hold on. Oh, seeds of trees and plants recognize the full moon. Yes, Flash, they do. There are some plants that only flower or bloom in the light of the full moon, which I think would be really pretty. So.
I can't chat anymore.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
So what's the difference? So super pink moon. So it's a full moon and not a new moon, correct?
Right, it's full moon.
All right.
And it's pink because the flowers, phlox, not flummox, phlox are blooming in other parts of the world, not in North Idaho, because apparently we're only growing icicles right now.
Yeah, it's snowing like a.
Really?
It's snowing right now again. Yes.
Again. Okay.
that's why Basil only went out for like 15 seconds.
He's not a dumb dog.
Yes, he is, but that's beside the point.
So yes, if you don't do a full moon ritual, it's not the end of the world. However, it is a very empowering time to have a ritual of some sort. And sometime if you've never done a full moon, maybe a full moon ritual, maybe you should try it sometime. Just because, hey, maybe it'll charge your energies a little bit more, or have more of a response to your ritual or ceremony. And so yeah, so it's just mostly it's to.
So a quick question regarding the opposite of the moon. People who don't necessarily prescribe to the moon aspects, the sun aspects, during the day, they charge. Is there like solar phases, moon phases, solar phases, sun phases?
No.
Is there a good time to do something at a specific time of the month regarding the sun?
So it depends on what you're trying to do. Because there's different energy at dusk and dawn, because dusk and dawn are the times between day and night. So it's the space between. Look at me go. They're just like equinoxes. Those are associated with the sun often.
But it doesn't have phases like the moon necessarily.
No, it's because the sun doesn't really change shape.
There's only a couple times that the sun necessarily becomes, the equinoxes, and I'm kind of just hypothesizing, spitballing, if you will. So equinoxes, yeah, because then it's the balance between the day and the night. Dusk and dawn, that makes sense. But those are things that happen. Dusk and dawn are things that happen every day. Like midday. What about midday?
So, you can have like sun water. If you.
Well, but I mean, when would you do those? If you were, observing a deity that is related to the sun, and you were doing, whatever, a ritual. Is there a a good time? You talk about Hecate and full moons, new moons, things like that. Those happen, twice a month. Well, once each a month, but there's no necessarily sun.
So you mean like Apollo? Apollo's the sun god.
No, that's not what I'm
Sun
talking
is
about.
right. So there are some things that you should do at high noon. I mean, there's
Well, that's what I just said.
yes, but I don't know because that's not my thing.
Oh.
That's not my jam. You're spilling your cups. Um, but yeah, sunrise, sunset, midday. Yeah, Sonia is cluing me in here because she does more of that than I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's important to have, chat interaction. So, okay. Well, all right. Yeah. So like morning, blessed morning,
hmm
you know, high noon.
During the summer, I like because I do like to be up early before Minnie Paisley, so I can drink at least like 3 swallows of coffee before she wakes up. Because Minnie Me is an early riser. Someone out there has a sense of humor because I did not need a morning person for a child. Um, but I like to go out and greet the sun when I wake up in the morning as the sun rises. I think it's pretty cool. I feel energized often if I can do that. More so than watching the sunset. Although there's a lot of energy in the sunset. Sometimes the still of the evening, as
In
the
still of the night. Sorry.
wrong show, dude.
Okay.
So
Well, that's just good news. I mean, if we're going to talk about, I'm sorry, it just came to me. You talk about that. You talk about this.
So tell you what, we will do a show talking about the sun.
I don't care.
Okay, well you're asking, so yes, I will do.
Just wondering.
I will do it. So, but no, I talk more about the moon because the moon's my gig, moon's my jam, and it's all
Sure.
about me.
Sure.
Well, it is. So there.
Okay.
But no. Yes, there is stuff associated with the sun, but I'm not as familiar with it because I just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
Are you sure?
Nope.
I didn't think so.
Nope.
Okay. So, if you are going to do a ritual with the moon, the full moon, you should have some things available to you before you do it. And we'll get there in just a minute. But, in a way, doing a full moon ritual, you're really stepping into your own power or your own personal abilities. And when you're getting ready to do a ritual of some sort, you're really just preparing yourself or your unconsciousness for that transformation that often is aligned with the moon. So it's not just, if you do a full moon ritual, it's not just candles and such, but,
Well, like, what would you do to prepare yourself?
So just like any other ritual, there's cleansing. You can either just wash your hands for cleansing, which is good. Wash your hands, people. It's important right now. It's important all the time. Keep your cooties to yourself. But like you can do a shower, cleansing ritual in the shower to prepare yourself. You can meditate beforehand. You can actually meditation's a big one. Just kind of what you're getting ready to do.
Does that include like gathering your tools and your
You're preparing yourself,
preparing your
space.
altar, whatever that is, your altar, your circle, whatever. Okay.
So often if I'm going to do a full moon ritual and I'm outside to do it because it's not flippin' freezing, I try to find a place where the moon is going to hit me. So I'm in the moonlight, and then candle. Often I'll have something to associate with the different elements. If it's warm enough, I'll have Groot with me because Groot likes moonlight. I've done that, and then during the summer here in North Idaho, we have small mosquitoes, not like Naysay does in Minnesota. But I do have like a citronella candle as my fire, and then water, and then generally incense for the air And then I just, set my compass points. And so, on compass points, real quick. Depending upon where you're at, your compass points and what you use to symbolize them will vary slightly. Here on the West Coast, water is often placed in the west, at the west compass point, because, hey, that's where the water is. The ocean is to the west. Sometimes, if you're in the east, you may put the water at the compass point to the east.
So you put water to water and land to land.
Generally, yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now that does vary with traditions. Some traditions are absolute. You have to do things absolutely.
Right. Water in the east and land on the west, or
whatever the rules
says.
Yeah, whatever the tradition says.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe being as an eclectic, I don't have such an absolute definition of what needs to be where. I go with my intuition a lot, and if it feels right, that's what I do. Because there's some times where, just like, what you put on your altar, you may put something out, and it's like, that's not quite right, and you take a rock off or element off, or maybe you're outside doing something and you put it on. What?
Nothing.
You're totally missing the chat right now, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I probably am.
And naysay. Yes, water does have a memory. So, if I'm like at the lake, then wherever the lake is at, that's the direction of the water.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
All right, you just have this odd look on your face. I don't know.
I usually do.
Yeah. Chat's interesting. So, anyways, but yeah, keep a journal of what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think that's important also, the why of it. So if your intuition says you need to do something a certain way, write it down, because there may be a trend there, or there may be something to that.
Developing something.
Right, because often when we're working with spirits or deities, they're taking the long view, maybe because time is different for them. We only have so many years on the earth, and we can only accomplish so much. So, if you're writing things down, you're able to kind of track what some of those things are, because you may see a trend or a message in the bigger picture that you wouldn't have gotten if you weren't writing things down. So, yeah, write them down. Sonia likes using her intuition for placement too. So, yeah.
It's whatever, you use whatever is feeling right. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yep.
Do what feels right. So.
Yep. And that's what, and you have to. So, yeah. Because if you don't follow your intuition, you're hampering yourself in the development of your ritual and the doing of it. So, there's a new face. Chris Jarvis, hello.
Oh, Chris, how you doing?
I don't recognize the name, but hey. Hey, you guys in YouTube world, make sure you are hitting that like button.
Oh, God, yes.
Don't forget the like button. I see 14 views right now and 10 likes. So, missing some likes. Checking the chats. Checking the call board. Because otherwise you are waiting to talk to me. And so, also, do your research as you're getting ready to do a ritual, because there's going to be lots of different websites if you're going online that will give you all sorts of different ideas. Don't just trust Pinterest.
Right. They're ideas.
And also don't just trust Facebook or other social media platforms, because there's a lot of people out there are doing this kind of thing because they think it's cool, it's fun, it's rebelling and such. And that bag has to move. I keep thinking it's a cat. And so yeah, just make sure your
diligence.
Yeah, due diligence. And Naysay is right. Find an elder. Not just someone who's old, but an elder, because they're two different things. Um, because an elder can often give you guidance.
Well, they're the holders of the wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. Intuition's good. Intuition's better than just following blindly like a sheeple. Um, but yeah, sometimes you do need to get help from somebody, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. So most
Cool.
of the time,
How's your time?
I'm doing just fine. You are having issues because you don't have your
Don't have
phone.
my phone. It's driving me nuts. How's your time?
My time is fine.
Okay.
Um, so if you, da, 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 in your journals, it's good to also track the moons, the moon cycles, because sometimes again you're gonna see a trend or a message or something develop, just like Don was talking about a little bit ago. A lot of momentous things have been happening with the with a paranormal portal, at least in April. I started my show in April, so. Are the spirits more active during certain moon cycles? Titan asks. Well, it depends upon whom you ask, because if you are in customer service or the medical field, you're probably going to say yes.
And that would be Loki.
Yes.
Stuff's just getting crazy.
Yes, mischief happens. Yeah, mischief and mayhem happens in the full moon. Is that the spirits moving us, or is that just our own inner clocks, ticking along and allowing the crazy to come out just a little bit more? It's hard to say on that one. I think some spirits, yes, are stronger during different aspects of the moon, but that may have more to do with when they were created. If you're being haunted by a spirit or something. And just so you know, Aussie says Dawn Paisley has about 40 minutes left, so she has plenty of time.
That's not what I meant, but thank you. Which means I'll have a break to go get my charger.
So, yeah, I think some spirits are a little more active during the different cycles as far as the moon cycles go.
Well,
but
take Hecate for instance. Is it, is she does she wax and wane with the moon?
Yes. But she's also called a triple goddess, meaning she's got maiden, mother, and crone aspect. Maiden being the waxing, mother being the full, and the crone being the waning, waxing, waning, yeah. And so, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, with your ritual, that's when you would be doing your ritual. If you're trying to do something with the crone, and you would do something during the waning moon, or if you're trying to do something with the maiden, that would be doing the growth, or like spring type stuff. That would be do with the maiden in the first part of the moon, with the waning or waxing. Blah. Too many words, similar. So Naysay says not all ceremonies or rituals will work specifically your way, especially if it's somebody else's. Just like the difference of each entity is, so is the energy. Yes. And that's true also. There's all these things on Pinterest and Facebook where if you do this or say this, you jump 3 times, spin around real fast, light a candle, and this will happen.
Blow a blue flame.
Right? Your hair will be straightened, Hermione. And is there some truth to that? I don't know, but if you see a cookie cutter ritual, does it have some energy? Yes. Often that cookie cutter ritual is going to have more energy for the creator. So if you're following in their footsteps and copying them exactly, you're creating energy not just for you, but for them as well. Think of it as a pyramid scheme. Instead, try to personalize it a little bit or develop something part of it.
That's a very good, yeah.
Um,
Because if they teach you, well, this is the way you do it, and it's their ritual, they created those particular steps for themselves to be more successful, are by following that dogma, which is what it is,
mm-hmm.
you're powering them up as well. Interesting. That's
Pyramid scheme, yeah.
that's kind of creepy in a way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. A little bit, yep.
It's kind of creepy.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So as part of the reason, Evlash says cookie cutter's nasty. Had some time with them underwater. Yeah, there's just some things that I don't do. So if I see a ritual online, odds are pretty good I'm not going to repeat everything they say.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll say, hey, this is just something I said online. And I'll make sure I set my intention prior to reading it to be that, hey, I'm not reading this to empower the words. I'm just repeating the words. But generally speaking, I don't really like reading somebody else's rituals. We'll be right back.
I knew there was one coming up.
Yep. Go get your charger.
Yes, ma'am.
You will see the spell forever done. Tears of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries that sing it unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between, and it is the last half hour of the 2-hour show. And we've just been kind of wandering all over the place tonight, talking about the full moon and miscellaneous, and now they're talking about waxing in the chat room.
Yes,
and
I see that. They're
yes,
a bunch of weirdos.
I know, but they're my weirdos, and I love them.
You can have them. Well, no, some of them are ours. We love them all, weirdos.
So Dee Swigger said something while we were on break. It says ceremony is kind of like an appointment to do something to her way of thinking, but spirits are always ready, even though we are not. And yes, I think there's a lot of that too. Now, I do think that spirits are probably a little stronger at night than they are during the day, just because some things do not have the same strength in the light of day as they do at night. Just because I think some things are just more clear in the light of day. That's just all there is to it, or more hidden, depending on how you want to look at it. So. But for a full moon ritual, just real quick before we get sidetracked again, because it's going to happen. No real rituals or rules when it comes to doing a ritual. As an eclectic, again, if you're on your own tradition or your own path with a specific something going on, then you got to kind of pay attention to those rules. But think about what you want to be, amplified, illuminated. What's your goal? Set your intention, that kind of thing. It's important. And, is there something you need to let go of? Something you're trying to trigger? Something you want to create? Write it down. And then with, shape your intention. What is it? Give some more thought to the thing that you want to achieve and what it means to you if it's accomplished. Symbolic objects are important. Are there any? Like with Groot, for me, being he's growing and all that. If I had put him in a little pot and try to set my intention to have him grow initially,
would he be an angsty young Groot?
Right? That would have been a pretty symbolic object. And then make sure you have a sacred space, some place that you've set up specifically for this. Cleanse the space, use your broom to clean the space, spiritually, energetically, and literally. If you're going to sit on the ground, do not sit in a rock, it hurts. So purify your space a little bit with some sage, smoke, salt, that kind of thing, whatever it is you need to do. And then perform your ritual. You don't have to have a fancy poem or phrase or words or anything like that. Just start and end. Rituals are kind of like a prayer in reality. Same with spells are often like a prayer, like a Christian prayer. They have a beginning, middle, and end. So start off. Ask for help from your spirits, your deities, your ancestors, whomever. Put your message out there and then say thank you and then close your ritual. Pretty direct, pretty straightforward.
Sorry.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be anything too major. And don't strive for perfection, because often perfection and having absolutes limits your ability to create and be creative. So it's hard to, if you insist on coloring within the lines all the time, you may miss out on, adding additional flavors to your recipes.
You mean there's more flavors than vanilla?
Do you know how many flavors there are of coffee or chocolate?
Ugh, gosh, yes.
And then if you ever combine coffee and chocolate, yeah. I'm just saying. So yeah. So, and really that's it. That's straightforward. It's pretty direct. That's if you're going to do a ritual. Set your intent. Intention is really, really good. It's important. Let's see. Everybody's talking about hair. Did you know there is a
Squirrel.
myth? No, not really. I've heard of this ritual, and Nase could probably give me some clarity on it, that the reason why Native American women have such beautiful long hair is because they only trim it in the light of the full moon.
Right. Yep.
I've
seen that. Read that, yes.
Yeah. And that would be cool if that was true. Because I know when I would get my hair trimmed then from now on, because I want longer hair.
Oh, gracious. So do I.
Yeah, it's not growing on your head anymore, dear.
It's still hair.
Yeah, this is different than up here. So.
Whatever.
And when you're getting ready to do a ritual, regardless of what it is, journal it, write it down. And then when you get done with your ritual, write down what happened. How did you feel? What did you experience? What did you do? What did you feel? And then after you get done, you sleep on it. Did you dream anything different? Was there, are you noticing different things in the world that may be impacted by your dream, by your ritual? Just kind of you journal it, just like a scientist. If you don't write down the data or track the data, how do you know what's going on? And they had to have learned it from somewhere. It's probably from a pagan who wrote everything down, because we were there first. I'm just saying. And, on that note, remember, just as I've said before, you don't have to have a major book of shadows. Just get a notebook.
Spiral notebooks.
Yep. And Dee says, hey, talk to Dee about getting longer hair. I will have to.
Use egg whites.
I am too busy putting my egg whites in my food. I have a hard time with that. I like to cook. I've mentioned that once or twice. Someone has asked me recently for cream puffs.
Oh.
It's been a while since I made cream puffs. I like cream puffs. I tend to make them around Easter. I don't know why. Probably because there's so many flipping eggs normally. Although...
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going to say.
There's not as many eggs right now. I don't know what y'all are doing with all them dang eggs.
Fertility rituals.
There's no houses getting egged. There's no houses getting teepeed. What are today's youth coming to? They're not using these often.
They're learning the value of necessities. I can always hope.
Well, if that was the case, there wouldn't be any bacon.
Oh. True. The duct tape of the food world.
Right.
So you've talked about placement of your compass placement.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about placement of things on your altar.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about journaling and writing down before your intent and what you intend to do during your ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And then writing down anything afterwards. Did you dream differently? What worked, what didn't?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that also covers, like, make sure you write down your placement of things, your athame, your salt, your water, whatever that may be, your candles, your rocks.
Draw a picture.
There you go. Okay, pictographs.
Mm-hmm. Doodles. graphics. You can put if you use a 3-ring binder as your book of shadows, you can always get graph paper and add it in there so you can really be precise with corners and all that stuff.
Wow.
Oh, Lewis says I'm an elf. So there. And Nace doesn't throw or doesn't allow his hair to get gone away. He collects it and will either burn it at equinox or solstice. I would do that, except for I'd have a hairball the size of a Great Dane, because apparently I lose hair all the time and it's annoying. I do know that occasionally, if I am trying to send energy or wishes out into the world to specific people, often I will set my intention and run my fingers through my hair, pull away. There's always one that comes loose when I'm doing this, and I let the wind pick it up and blow it away, so it's blowing my intention or that energy to the person that is, receiving it.
Your key tag. It's your tag.
Yeah, it's my tag, so... And then some people will collect that same hair and they'll wrap it around the plants in their garden to keep the deer away, because deer are the slightly taller version of the rabbit.
Unfortunately, it doesn't keep rabbits away.
No, I don't know what keeps rabbits away other than, firearms.
I was going to say a 22 works.
Dogs.
I don't know. Anyhow,
so
now we're wandering.
Yeah, we are wandering. Well, okay, so I really want a garden. So, yeah. I really, really want a garden. So, yes, I will wander into the garden right now. So, this year I need to plant lots of sage and some lavender and some peppermint and some other things, because I want to have it available for me to use. Not that I mind buying some things. I really don't, because I like supporting local people that like to grow stuff. I really do. But at the same time, I also like to keep my dollars in my pocket and not share those with the local artists and growers. I can do that stuff too. So that, and since I'm going to be on vacation for the next 3 weeks...
Lucky you.
I am going to have a garden. At least I'm going to start the garden. We'll see what happens.
It's all about intent.
I'll set my intent. Well, part of it's not easy to grow a garden in the dirt here. It's a little sandy.
A little rocky.
And not very fertile. It's better than it was. And I'm going to use where the chickens were, I think, as my garden. So there's some chicken poo in there that'll help it. But I don't think the ground over there has been used as a garden for many a year. So yeah, set my intent. And I think it's better than it was, because I remember when first came here, just like the oak tree in the backyard seemed to be kind of dead, because the oak tree did seem pretty dead. As Groot's parent, by the way. The dirt felt pretty dead here. Just like it didn't want to grow anything. It felt very...
barren?
Yeah, barren.
Fallow?
No, not fallow. Barren. Barren's a good word. So, trip investigation. Ooh, Titanesca. Good question. Total squirrel moment, going back to it. Plans for a trip or investigation after this craziness is over. Well, personally, I would love to do a gemstone or rock hounding trip.
Oh, to one of the caves. Yeah.
We are the starting here in North Idaho and trekking all the way down to southern Idaho through... maybe jog over into Montana a little bit, because there's garnets and sapphires within a couple-hour drive. And then if we go down to like Craters of the Moon area, the park down there, and then a little further south, there's opals. Idaho has opals. And in southern Idaho, there's also jade. So let's see how many places I can stop and pick up rocks. And... probably make sure I leave plenty of space in the back of the car for any rocks that I might pick up. So, yeah. And Nacy says, random thought, lose about 100 hairs a day, and if your hair is long, seems like a lot more. And since his hair, he's got 2 feet of braids, so he's got about 3 foot long hair. When it's not in the braids, that's a fair bit. Titan, I have heard that I may end up going to this Bigfoot convention this fall, but I'm not sure 100% what the plan is there. So I don't even know where it is. I don't know if it's still on, because yes, there's insanity that we're dealing with called a virus.
It is. It is in southern Washington. So
right. Other than that, I was going to go to a Beltane event. That was the plan. And
did you see that new piece of equipment I got?
No, I was going to ask you what piece of equipment you got. Now you're going to bail off.
I got it with the idea that you're going to need it for that.
My Beltane event?
Yes.
So yeah, I was going to go to a Beltane event, and there was going to be this panel of different pagan leadership in the community, and I wanted to ask them questions and talk to them and about the trend of the pagan community and all that. And oh, you're like an 80s hipster with a boombox.
Yeah.
And what does that do?
This is actually another type of soundboard. This is wow, this thing's it's bigger than I thought it'd be. It's an 8-channel mixer, power mixer, and you can hook anything you want to it.
I know what you should do for a show. You should show off your show, your stuff, your toys.
It's not that important. It's not that impressive, but this has a memory card slot, a USB slot, so you can play music through it too. So you could use it like a DJ kind of thing. But you can put speakers to it. You can plug in instruments. You can plug in microphones. This thing is freaking awesome. It's got individual levelers on each channel. There's 8 channels. 17 total channels, actually. This thing is sweet.
You're such a geek.
I know.
I will happily embrace my witchdom, and you are a nerd. Okay, then. Yes, Don's new toy, Jess. He's very excited about that.
Yeah, I want to use it.
I don't know what to tell you. There's people are not allowed to gather in quantities greater than 2. You can't. Walmart now has corridors you can only get in certain ways.
Is it like one-way streets? And
Yep.
I haven't been there in a while.
Yep. Madhouse. You're right, Ethan. It's a madhouse. So I don't know. I don't know that I'll go to the Pagan Pride event in Oregon. Although that might be interesting.
Got a place to stay, don't you?
Yep. So I don't know. It kind of depends on how this shakes out. I think, honestly, it's a cultural reset just a bit, this whole bug. And I think that on the flip side, we will be just a fair bit more pagan-esque. So I think people are going to start embracing their pagan side more.
You know, and that's something that's been coming up more and more too. Is people are disillusioned with the Abrahamic faith.
Mm-hmm.
I have been seeing all kinds of things about pre-rapture, pre-tribulation, rapture, pre-tribulation dogma, and I'm like, wow, here's the thing. There's only 144 going to heaven, and the rest will live on heaven on earth.
Well, it depends upon your choice of dogma.
True. True. So it says in the Bible the 144,000 chosen. But you know what? I think
it also says God can't count. So what's your point?
can't. God made, apparently.
A year is like a day is like a year, and a year is like a day, or something like that. I mean,
He can count any way he wants, apparently. So
so
it's all about him. Um, but I think that 144,000 dance card is full.
yeah, probably, maybe.
Well, you've got all the prophets, and
And Diesel's, I'm shamanic. I can do whatever I want.
it's fine with me.
I like it.
But I think, as I said, people are becoming disillusioned with the whole idea of the Abrahamic dogmas and
Well,
and
well,
things
like
like that.
I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I really feel that the reason why there was such a rise of Abrahamic religions is because the written word, caused, um, how would I put it? It gives form to the thoughts. So when they wrote the books of the Bible, which there are a lot of books of the Bible, and more than most Bibles actually hold, um, that bound the pagan deities, and they were unable to touch the world like they had before. And then now, as we've gotten
Right, it was used as a binding spell. Yeah,
a
yeah, I
binding
remember
spell,
that.
and then
Yeah.
they've translated the Bible so many different times. So many different times. Have you ever read the PC Bible?
The what?
There's a PC Bible.
Oh my goodness.
Very publicly correct. Politically correct. Whatever it is, it's insane. But and a lot of the Bibles were, or books of the Bible were omitted, so maybe that reduced the strength. But I think with people not being as firm in their belief when it comes to their Abrahamic faiths, because they aren't, they worship the TV more anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Social
binding
media.
that binding spell has lost its strength, and I think that's why we have such a rise in paganism and witchcraft, and people going back to the old ways, and letting go of the Abrahamic faiths.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So, and turning their back on them. So that's my thought. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
So it kind of brings the question around what exactly is going to be the tribulation. What is going to be the
According to whom?
would it be I've used the imagery of the Titans breaking loose
Mm-hmm.
during that talk, and there was the war between the Titans and the gods,
Mm-hmm.
and is that what we're going to be looking at? The old gods coming back and saying, you know what, we're done. This is it. You're done.
I don't know.
We're going to clean up here.
I think there's quite a few different things that could happen. And I'm not enough of a seer to be able to see what that might be. I think we're on a cusp.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the crossroads,
Mm-hmm.
however you want to put it. Life's been a kind of a Gordian knot up until this point, and I think it's going to become unraveled here. And maybe this virus is the first step in that, or maybe it's the last step. I'm not sure. It's not the first step because we've been getting there.
Well, locusts in Africa and coronavirus and all the different things that have been going on in the last 20 years. H1N1, H5N1, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about the thinning of the veil and the tearing of the veil, and what exactly does that mean? And we all have our different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The gods, the as I mentioned, the Titans breaking loose and reclaiming, well, but of course we're talking about the elder gods, the old
Mm-hmm.
gods.
Well, the Titans are more
Well, yeah, but see, I
more
think
Greco-Roman.
well, true, but I mean, it's still you just follow the logic there.
Mm-hmm.
If you say the Christians or Abrahamic faith in general, had their Bibles, their Qurans, their Talmuds, and they were binding spells. It still gives you the idea of the bound titans. It gives
Mhm.
you that idea
Okay.
that they were that the
Yes.
Greek gods bound cast the titans to um, into bondage and put them away in a little cage, if you will. And then you mentioned that people are becoming disillusioned and losing their faith, or giving up their faith in a lot of ways with the Abrahamic faiths, and it's loosening the grip of that binding. It's losing its magic.
Yep.
So that's just the imagery that I
Yep.
use.
I think it's solid imagery. I don't know what it's going to happen. I think we live in interesting times.
That is the truth.
So, on that note,
Yep.
we are done for the night. We will see you tomorrow.
Mm.
2-hour show again tomorrow, Saturday night. So, merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And no cracking.
No cracking.
So, we will talk to you tomorrow night. Have a good night, all.
Good night.
Lord within the sun, as we will, so mote it be the spell forever done.